start.
Hello, I'm Raymond McCabe, aka Ask Mr. Know-It-All. This is the first class at the Commonwealth of Uncommon Knowledge College, and I am the Dean and Founder. And today we're going to go over something very important from a lot of standpoints. Nothing's more frustrating than to come home and find a broken window and a baseball in the living room floor. If it's a matter of single strength glass, today we're going to demonstrate the proper cutting techniques and how to do it safely. And how to do it correctly, most of all. The things that we have to have that are very important to this are a reliable tape measure and a square. Now today we're also going to learn what to do and what not to do and what tools to use and why we have to do what we have to do to get a successful cut. When we cut glass, what we do is we change the surface tension of the material. Now this is 1/16 single strength window glass. Picture frames, cabinets, so on and so forth. We don't use this type of glass in a door because it breaks quite easily. There's tempered glass for that, or some of the carbonate products, Lexan, so on. Now I'm going to show you something that you don't want to do when you're trying to learn to cut a piece of glass. First thing you don't want to do is to take for granted that it is square. You take a square and lay it on the edges of the glass and find out, are the dimensions, are all your lines equal? That one's off just a very small amount, which if you're doing something like a picture frame or something small, you could probably get by with this. Now a lot of people make the mistake when they go to cut a piece of glass is they put too much pressure on their cutter. Now we're going to make a simple cut here. I'm going to mark this at 4 inches, and I do that with the wheel in my cutter. Getting a good close-up there, Chris? Mark that right there. We'll come down here and we'll mark this again at 4 inches. A simple little rollout with the wheel is sufficient on the glass with just enough pressure to cause it to scratch the glass. Now sometimes people put too much pressure on their glass when they start to do something, and it will break the glass. Now I'm going to roll my wheel. As you see, I'm wearing gloves. Now the reason is it has sharp edges. Glass is a dangerous material, so you want to protect yourself with it. You hear the wheel? We roll it gently and listen for any obstacle on the glass that would cause our glass to cut crooked. Now, if you push down too hard on this, you'll break that glass. So what you want to do is just press hard enough to hear a slight scratching type noise. Now, you start at your little notch, you come all the way across. Don't stop before you get to the end. Now I'm going to demonstrate that in just a moment, what the mistakes happen if you do it wrong. You pick your glass up very gently, comforting it in your hands on your glove tips. Put your fingers at the very center of your line and push away from each other like that. Now, that was a successful clean cut. If you have a tendency to put too much pressure on your glass, this will result. Okay, we're going to do a small sample of what not to do. Okay, I mark it there and I mark it there. But I press down too hard. When I go to cut it, it sometimes won't cut straight. Well, that one did, but it has some chipped edges in it. We'll make a mistake eventually here and show you that it can happen. Especially, let's do this one. If we don't go all the way to this other side with our cut, say we lift our wheel too early and we drag there and we think we've cut it. Okay, you take that and you see what will happen. We have a deflection in our cut. It didn't cut straight. A lot of times, especially on a big cut, if it's not cut all the way. You think it is, but then it's not. You get up here and you do this. Well, we got lucky again. It's a little bit difficult sometimes to make a mistake, but it can happen, and trust me, it will. But glass is a very simple product to cut if you remember two important things. You have to have a good glass cutter and a good straight edge to cut it on. Something else, third thing, is a very soft padded surface. Now I'm going to demonstrate a glass cutter that's made in the Soviet Union. This is a Russian glass cutter. If you can get a close-up of that, Chris. That's a diamond embedded in the head of the tool right there. Now we'll take this piece of glass. Now I have to use a lubricant for this, so I've got a good thing that works. The tip of your tongue. You put your square down there. Now this is going to be completely different to a carbide wheel, precision instrument. They still use this tool in the Soviet Union, in the Russian glass shops. See, doesn't cut exactly like the American cutter. It takes some practice. Yeah, there we go. Let's see what we can do with that. Now, the Soviet glass cutter is not as efficient as a high quality wet wheel. This has oil in the wheel, but you see you can do a very intricate design with that. Very simply and very easily with a high quality wheel. So that's a demonstration. A quick, easy, simple use of the wheel, use of your tape measure, and use of your square. I've got a metal square here as a kind of example of why you don't want to use one of those. You can let this one down relatively solid. You're not going to hurt your glass. But if you have a metal square, because this is made of plastic, if you drop this one too hard, you're liable to break a piece of glass or chip it like I did right there on the edge. That can cost you a lot of problems. So you always want to use a soft vinyl or wooden square when you're cutting your glass. That's a good example of what we do when we're cutting glass. Thanks for being here. I'm Mr. Know-It-All, also Raymond. See ya.